Where do teens read the news? What do they take as news? According to one study by Stanford University, elementary, middle, and high school students are shockingly bad at determining fact from fiction. Even more shocking, some of the most easily confused news articles presented by the study conductors were actual advertisements found on websites. Many students admit they don't consume news from traditional sources, not from TV networks or newspapers, or even the websites of the major papers. Instead, teens say they get their news largely from the social media on their smartphones. An infinite streams of stories. Some are true, some are false. Much of it is written by strangers hoping their readers can't tell the difference. In fact, the study goes as far as to state that young people are more swayed by how high a source of information appears on internet search results rather than by the source of the information. The correlation between low critical thinking and fake news. Fake news is effective because people lack critical thinking. Having critical thinking means being aware of the information we encounter on a daily basis. It means evaluating this information to see if it is real, if it has good arguments, if it is not misleading. Critical thinking means rational thinking. It means taking evidence into consideration. It means looking for the other sources. Critical thinking is also reflective thinking, when the individual assesses his own thinking and accepts the mistakes, and he is willing to correct them. The success of fake news is due to a low cognitive potential. Overwhelmed by the emotions, and their reasoning is numb. There are also the cognitive biases that allow some shortcuts to the brain that can deceive us. At a personal level, barriers to critical thinking can arise through an over-reliance on feelings and emotions, self-centered or societal or cultural-centered thinking, like conformism, dogma, and peer pressure. There is also unconscious bias or selective perception. All these emotions and hidden biases are the tools that make fake news powerful and spread quickly. Students who are not trained to develop critical thinking will be gullible to misleading information and will believe distorted scientific facts because they are shocking or they appear higher on the research engine results. Obviously, their essays on any subject will reflect a lack of logic, a misinterpretation of data, and their grades will fall as they go to higher levels of education. Improving the students' critical thinking will have a positive impact on their university grades. These skills provide the foundation for university writing and allow students to pass higher level modules. Weak critical thinking skills lead to dangerous and costly errors, repeated mistakes, bad decisions, failed systems, inaction when action is needed, and giving of bad advice, inaccurate assumptions, the poor design of training programs, the poor evaluation of educational curricula, the lack of anticipated action. The impact on children and teenagers. In a study on critical thinking skills and their impact on elementary school students, Sarwanto found that only 10% of students whose scores were above the minimum completeness criteria from the schools and the class average only reached 50 out of 100. This low critical thinking skill was caused by students' mistakes in answering the test questions. This research concluded that elementary school students' critical thinking skills were still very low and caused by student factors. A. Students' answers were not systematic. B. Students identified questions incorrectly and simply summarized the questions, then using them as answers directly. C. Misconception. And D. Students relied on memory, not on understanding. Meanwhile, the teacher factors comprised A. The learning model used by the teachers was dominant in the direct learning model with the lecture method. B. The problem description provided was not familiar for students. C. The problem and its resolution strategy offered did not make the students understand. And D. The teachers did not understand the materials, lacked expertise in delivering the material, and used the textbook as the only source of information and delivery content. In another study run on the primary and high school students in Bangladesh and its effects on tertiary level education and employment prospects, it is shown that low critical thinking skills lead to fragmented knowledge on different topics in different classes or grades, lecture-based classes, the tendency of taking down simplified and incomplete lecture notes. Students tend to memorize essays and question answers and passive learning, and they lack problem-solving skills, interpreting, analyzing, and reasoning processes. And all these skills and lack of them are exactly the ones needed in discerning among true and fake news. Little reasoning practice in class in any subject would lead to little critical thinking when exposed to fake news. Although in some educational systems, these students can pass standardized exams based on memorization, they are not well equipped in the area of 21st century skills, which are literacy skills, learning skills, and life skills. The implication is that focusing on developing critical thinking and reflective practices would see a direct benefit in increased school grades and on interpreting and correlating the information the students are exposed to. If they fail to do so, students tend to grow into simple-minded adults who lack subtleness. And the sign of simple-mindedness are exactly what we notice at the people who accept and spread fake news, jumping to conclusions, making assumptions, negative thinking, losing track of their purpose, accepting false or inaccurate information, thinking one-sidedly, ignoring our own ignorance. Critical thinking is a type of thinking that requires logical and evaluative consistency in order to recognize bias and wrong reasoning, so it is very important to be taught to students. It will help them better solve problems, understand science subjects, correlate information from different sources, and understand the validity and reliability of the information students find online.